We've all heard the old saying about an apple a day, and scientists now have proven this to be so true in so many ways. And I personally love apples. Recently, I've enjoyed making applesauce and apple cider vinegar and learning the health benefits of those. This is Dr. Mary. I'm a traditional naturopath, and I love sharing natural remedies with people. They've been around for hundreds, even thousands of years because they work. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you like this video. And give me a thumbs up if you're seeing this as a recording on YouTube. Share with others, and if you like hearing about health news, subscribe and click the little bell and you'll be notified each week when I do a new video. So during the month of October, I have been focusing on some delicious and nutritious foods to support our immune system and support health in general. So today we're going to talk about apples, and I love every single one of the ones on the screen, plus Golden Delicious. I love a variety of apples, and lately I've been doing these wonderful apples that are kind of tart and good for pie making, but I've also made some great applesauce with it. And I love to leave the peeling on when I make applesauce because we have found that there is a lot of nutrition in the skin itself. So we're going to look at this wonderful study. So I feel that apples are a superhero for the heart. Dr. Abram H. Arjmandi, I'm probably just slaughtering that poor man's name, did a USDA funded research with 160 women. So what this means is probably 80 on one group and 80 in another. And what they do is they gave the 80 dried apples. So now this wasn't even fresh apples every day. These were dried apples, probably so they can be consistent. Now these women signed up for a year research on doing this, and one group ate apples every day and another group ate prunes every day. Well, I think I'd rather be on the apple group. And the blood samples were taken 3, 6, and 12 months intervals. And the results surprised Dr. Arjmandi, who stated that incredible changes in the apple-eating women happened by 6 months. So halfway through the study, they realized that there was a 23% decrease in LDL cholesterol, which is known as the bad cholesterol. And at the same time, a raise by 4% in what they call the good cholesterol. Now, the daily apple consumption also led to a lowering of lipid hydroperoxide levels. Now, I don't believe in the myth of cholesterol. I don't really think it matters that much. In fact, I feel if people have too low a cholesterol, their brain is in problem. So I think 210, 215 is a really good number. I'm not in favor of having cholesterol levels at 160 or below, because I think through the research I've done is that the brain needs good cholesterol. You need cholesterol to make hormones. So this didn't mean anything to me. This meant something to me, because if you go in and you have a test for C-reactive protein, that tells you what your inflammatory levels are. Now, providing you're not dealing with some kind of an infection, this generally can be a good indicator of cardiovascular disease. So I'm very impressed with the facts that this reduced the risk of cardiovascular events pertaining to C-reactive proteins. And then previous animal studies had already shown the polyphenols in apples improve fat metabolism and lower the production of pro-inflammatory molecules. And now this information comes from greenmedinfo.com, and I'll leave a link in the description below so that you can read the full study. But I thought that was pretty favorable. Now, another one from GreenMed this is done by Sayer G, who is the author of GreenMed and a wonderful researcher. But he says this commonly overlooked superfood protects the body from nuclear fallout, kills a wide range of cancers, and keeps the arteries unclogged. Now, that's huge because that means that you're less susceptible to not just a heart event, but a stroke. So how hard is it to eat an apple a day? Well, I'm going to show you some other options that you can take in if you're, apples in the springtime, they're using apples from the fall, and they're just not as crunchy or palatable. But you can get some really good results from doing your own processing. So on this particular article, he writes that liver cancer, they used apple juice, and apple pectin is in raw apple juice, and the apple peel, which I mentioned about the antioxidants and polyphenols in it, help to kill liver cancer cells. Now, I think that's pretty amazing. The multi-drug resistant cancer is one of the things that they found that apples helped make this drug more effective. So, it can work whether you're taking the medications for cancer or not. And they also talked about esophageal cancer and stomach cancer. So it says stomach cancer. One of the ways in which apple constituents, prevent stomach cancer is through their inhibition of Helicobacter pylori. Now, this particular bad guy affects both hiatal hernia and ileocecal valve and gastric cancer. So you do want to get rid of that guy. And it says, but apple procyanidin has also been studied for its ability to directly induce programmed cell death within stomach cancer cells. So how good, this is amazing. So enjoying an apple a day may possibly induce programmed cell death within stomach cancer cells. That's really good news. Now, children and seniors may not be able to handle eating an apple. They little ones, they're losing their teeth. And older people, the teeth aren't as strong as they used to be. So eating the applesauce is wonderful. And you notice mine is that blush pink because I use the red apples that with the skin on. And I use some lemon juice to bump up the vitamin C and retain that beautiful pink color. But applesauce contains antioxidants called phytochemicals. And these antioxidants may help to reduce your risk of cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. So making fresh applesauce using the whole fruit, including the skin, helps to ensure that you get the most antioxidants possible. So I wash my apples really good. I cut out the core and the stem and I set them aside. You don't throw them away. And then you want to cut these apples pieces up into like 1 inch or bite-sized pieces. You put them in a pot with a little bit of water so that the apples aren't going to stick. And then half a cup of bottled lemon juice. I use about 6 to 8 apples. Now this size is a pretty good size. You can see it fits pretty well in my fist. And I would use 6 of these. If they were smaller, I'd probably use 8 of them. And I cook them until they're a little soft. And then I put them in my high-speed blender and I blend them up and put them in jars. Now, if I wanted to can these, you put them in a water bath and they would keep for a good year or so. But I go through it too fast. So I have just refrigerated the rest of them after they cool down. But like fresh apples, applesauce also contains these polyphenols and it may help reduce the blood pressure, help reduce your risk for heart attack and stroke. And I will also leave the link to that study, which came from WebMD, which oftentimes WebMD, it's all about the chemicals and drugs. And so it's surprising to see them produce a good study that actually promotes a food. So now you can actually add cinnamon. There's been some really good studies on cinnamon and blood sugar. So I prefer to take my cinnamon in the cinnamon balance, and I take 2 a day on that because I want to make sure that I'm doing the best I can to help balance my blood sugar. And I'll leave a link to that product as well. So don't throw away the waste. This is what I do with the core. I used my peeling, so I took a small apple and cut the whole apple up and put it in this. And you cover it with water mixed with, I use organic sugar. And so you use, if you have 2 cups of scraps, you use 2 tablespoons of sugar and 2 cups of purified water. So, and basically what you want to do is chlorine-free water. So it doesn't have to be distilled but I use reverse osmosis water. And then this is what it looks like after about 7 days. It gets all bubbly and it's very active. Now, last week I did a whole class on fermented foods, and this is one of the fermented foods that if you did 2 tablespoons, most people like to do it first thing in the morning. If you make it yourself like this, it's really yummy. I can't take the strong vinegar taste, like Bragg's is pretty strong, but this is really lovely. It's bubbly, effervescent. You can pour a little bit in water if you want to. I add it to a drink that's called Tigo, and it's just lovely. And it's going to give me the probiotics, a good fermented bacteria that is necessary to help a well-functioning intestinal system. So by the 3rd day, if you don't see any little bubbles floating up to the surface, excuse me, I got the hiccups, and then I'll add another tablespoon of sugar. I'm going to take some water here. And then I take a wooden chopstick and I kind of stir it around just to make sure that all of the apples are fermenting like they should. Now, you should stir it like morning and night, so I keep it on my kitchen counter. I also put a dish under it because as these, I don't have this kind of a flip lid. I just have, I have a glass thing that sits in it to keep the apples submerged, and then I have just a cloth and a rubber band over it. So there's a variety of ways. There's a wonderful video by a gal named Heidi, who is into survival food, but she has wonderful tips on ferments and things like that. And I'll leave a description I'll leave her link in the description below, but I think you'll enjoy her videos. So why apple cider vinegar? Why should anybody want to take 2 tablespoons every morning? Well, most of you probably heard about apple cider vinegar. However, did you know that it has been used for hundreds, even now thousands of years? In fact, there's a record that Hippocrates, the father of medicine, used apple cider vinegar back in around 400 BC for its health-giving quality. So even today, many use it as a common household remedy. It has anti-tumor potential, prevents bladder stones and urinary tract infection, strengthens the immune system, it increases stamina, it alleviates symptoms of arthritis and gout, it reduces sinus infection and sore throats, which is really important this time of year, balances high cholesterol, improves skin conditions such as acne, because often acne is because the wrong bacteria is on your face, and it's really a difficult thing now with the mask. I see so many teens walking around with horrible acne because they have to wear a mask because they work at McDonald's or, you know, some of the restaurants that require you to wear a mask. But if you take apple cider vinegar, dab it on the face, it automatically corrects the bacteria. And it's a great astringent. Improves digestion and can help with constipation, prevent muscle fatigue after exercise, fight allergies in both humans and animals. So if you have a pet that has allergies, why not? So maybe instead, why not apple cider vinegar instead of why apple cider vinegar? So what about juice? Okay, you know, you hear people getting apple juice or grape juice. These are very high in sugar, and they don't have the fiber to slow that pancreas response in producing insulin. So juice has no fiber. If you can do a juice press, or if you get apple cider is just pressed, and it does have fiber in it. So on the whole, it is better to enjoy the whole apple, or make it like I do into applesauce or vinegar. Now, vinegar doesn't have the fiber in it, but excuse me, but it has other benefits like the good bacteria. So you want to get the best kind of apple you can get. So either get locally grown or organic, especially if you're going to use the skins, because that's a good part of where the pesticide residue will be. And apples are the most highly sprayed. So if you're getting them from like Washington State or something like that, and they don't say organic, you can bet that these are going to be full of toxins. And if you're trying to improve your health, you don't want to add toxins. So I didn't go into the treats like apple crisp or apple pies or any of these things, but it's going to be far better than a chocolate cookie, or, it's going to have some health benefits if you're using the skins, and if you're making that dessert as healthy as possible, maybe substituting sugar for honey. I love marysnest.com. She has a wonderful way of taking a processed chicken kitchen to a healthy traditional kitchen, and tips along the way, so you can, like yesterday I made my own homemade yogurt. It was fun. And this morning I had some, and she shows how you can strain it to make it thicker, and then you save the whey and make biscuits out of it or other things. So I encourage you to go on YouTube and find some of these wonderful health-filled classes, that you share these classes with other people so that they too can see the benefits of eating healthier and making sure that your body is strong enough to handle. We have bacteria growing all around us, viruses. We live in this environment, and it's how our immune system gets trained. So this thing about covering your face or staying away from people or not hugging is not scientifically feasible. It's wrong information, and you really need to get in touch with good scientific evidence-based information. So we all know now that an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and that's absolutely true. And through the fall and winter months, do the best you can. Don't fear disease, build health through knowledge, and keep focusing on all the wonderful joys around us and the world we live in, the people around you that care about you. Don't forget to email me with any personal concerns that you want answers for. Be thankful for all of God's gifts. And until next week, this is Dr. Mary for the Health of It.